They hide among us, these masters of disguise. The Capricorns you think you know, disciplined, responsible, ambitious, are merely showing you what they want you to see. Beneath that carefully constructed facade lies a labyrinth of shadow traits so profound that even astrologers hesitate to speak of them openly. Today, we pull back the veil on the darkest aspects of the Zodiac's most misunderstood sign. The truth about Capricorn will change everything. Welcome to the shadow side of the sea goat, where ancient wisdom meets modern psychology to reveal what Capricorns themselves would prefer remained hidden. This isn't the sanitized astrology you'll find in mainstream publications. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about the sign ruled by Saturn, the lord of karma and restriction. Take a moment right now to subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac and hit that like button, because what you're about to discover might explain the mysterious Capricorn energy that has influenced your life in ways you never fully understood until now. This knowledge has been guarded for centuries, passed down only among those who truly comprehend the Zodiac's deeper mysteries. The darkness of Capricorn isn't something to fear, but rather to understand. Like the mythological creature they embody, half goat climbing treacherous mountain peaks, half fish navigating emotional depths, Capricorns exist in two realms simultaneously. They present one face to the world, while another operates in shadow, calculating, observing, and patiently working toward goals others can't even perceive. Consider the mountain goat, steadily ascending heights that would terrify other creatures. Each step is precise, each movement deliberate. Now imagine that same determined focus turned toward human ambitions, relationships, and power dynamics. This is the Capricorn mind at work, relentless, patient, and utterly committed to their vision of success. What makes their shadow aspect so dangerous is precisely how well they blend with Capricorn's celebrated virtues. Their ability to manipulate isn't flashy or obvious like a fire sign's domination. Their emotional detachment isn't as visible as an air sign's intellectual distance. Instead, their darkness operates through systems, structures, and time itself, Saturn's domain. I've studied thousands of birth charts and interviewed hundreds of Capricorns in my astrological practice. The patterns are unmistakable once you know what to look for. Those born under this sign carry a weight others don't comprehend, a primordial understanding that life is difficult, resources are scarce, and only the most disciplined survive. This fundamental worldview shapes everything about how they move through life. Capricorn's earth element grounds these shadow traits in the material world. Unlike the philosophical darkness of Scorpio or the chaotic darkness of Gemini, Capricorn's shadows manifest in tangible ways. Career maneuvers that destroy rivals, emotional withdrawals that punish loved ones, or ambitions pursued with such single-mindedness that entire communities are reshaped in their image. The ancients understood this power. Saturn, Capricorn's ruler, was feared and respected in equal measure. He was the Titan who devoured his own children to maintain control, who castrated his father Uranus to claim dominance. These mythological patterns play out in subtle ways through Capricorn's psychological landscape. They aren't literal child devourers, but they will sacrifice the vulnerable, nascent parts of themselves, and sometimes others, to maintain order and achieve their definition of success. This sign's cardinal quality adds another dimension to their shadow work. As initiators of the winter season, they carry an instinctual relationship with scarcity and survival. This isn't just ambition, it's existential necessity. Understanding this fundamental motivation is key to comprehending why Capricorns operate as they do, why they seem to trust no one completely, why they build fortresses around their hearts while strategically dismantling others' defenses. What's particularly fascinating about Capricorn's darkness is how it exists alongside genuine integrity. Many Capricorns are deeply principled, committed to family, and steadfast in their responsibilities. This isn't contradiction, it's complexity. The same person who meticulously plans a colleague's professional downfall might be the most reliable parent, the most loyal friend, the most ethical business person in other contexts. As we begin to explore these shadow aspects one by one, remember that awareness brings transformation. For the Capricorns watching, recognition of these patterns is the first step toward conscious choice rather than unconscious compulsion. For those with Capricorns in their lives, this knowledge offers a map through otherwise bewildering territory. Let's start with perhaps the most subtle yet powerful of Capricorn's shadow traits, their masterful ability to manipulate situations while maintaining plausible deniability. The silent manipulator operates with patience few other signs can comprehend. Topic 2. The silent manipulator and the ruthless climber. The first reason, the silent manipulator behind closed doors in boardrooms and family gatherings across the world. Capricorns are orchestrating outcomes that benefit them, while others remain completely unaware of the invisible hand guiding events. Unlike the dramatic power plays of Leos or the verbal manipulations of Geminis, Capricorn's approach leaves no fingerprints, a psychological sleight of hand so subtle that even astute observers miss it entirely. What distinguishes Capricorn's manipulation is its foundation in patience and structural thinking. While fire signs might demand immediate results, and water signs might emotionally influence others, Capricorns create elaborate systems that naturally funnel toward their desired outcomes. They don't need to convince you directly. They simply architect circumstances where the path they want you to take becomes the only logical choice. Consider the Capricorn executive who never directly undermines a colleague. Instead, they strategically praise others for skills that highlight their target's weaknesses. They volunteer for projects that showcase their strengths while positioning their rival for challenges they're likely to struggle with. They create documentation trails that emphasize their contributions while subtly noting others' shortcomings. Months or years later, when promotion decisions arise, the collective impression has been so carefully shaped that their advancement seems the only reasonable option. This manipulation extends into personal relationships with chilling effectiveness. A Capricorn partner might never outright forbid connections they disapprove of. Instead, they'll schedule competing commitments, raise subtle concerns, or create situations where those relationships naturally wither from neglect. Their target feels they've made their own choices, never recognizing the invisible constraints that were methodically placed around them. What makes this truly dark is the complete absence of accountability. When confronted, Capricorns appear genuinely perplexed. "I was only trying to help." "I thought this was what you wanted." "I was just being practical." Their manipulation is so deeply integrated with legitimate pragmatism that separating the two becomes nearly impossible. They become the perfect crime, one where even the perpetrator might believe in their innocence. The psychological roots of this behavior trace back to Capricorn's profound early experiences with power structures. As children, many Capricorns quickly learn that direct confrontation with authority is futile or dangerous. Instead, they develop sophisticated workarounds, learning to achieve their aims without triggering opposition. This early adaptive strategy becomes encoded in their approach to all challenges. Why fight directly when you can quietly rearrange the board? Watch for the telltale signs. The Capricorn who asks questions instead of making statements, who plants ideas and then waits for others to champion them, who creates systems of rewards that naturally incentivize their preferred behaviors. Their manipulation isn't about immediate control. It's about shaping the environment itself until it naturally produces what they desire. The second reason, the ruthless climber. While all earth signs value security, Capricorn's relationship with achievement transcends practical concerns, entering the realm of existential compulsion. The ruthless climber aspect reveals Capricorn's willingness to sacrifice anything: relationships, ethical boundaries, personal health, and even their authentic desires, on the altar of advancement. What makes this shadow aspect truly disturbing is the emotional calculus involved. Capricorns unconsciously assign value to everything and everyone based on utility. This isn't conscious sociopathy, it's a deeply ingrained survival response triggered by Saturn's influence. In their psychological landscape, achievement isn't just desirable, It's necessary for existential security. Observe the Capricorn who maintains friendship circles strategically aligned with career advancement. These connections aren't fake. Capricorns often feel genuine affection for their network, yet they'll systematically prioritize relationships that offer professional advantage while allowing more authentic but unprofitable connections to wither. They compartmentalize relationships with remarkable efficiency, creating separate categories for those who serve their climb and those who don't. The workplace reveals this shadow aspect most clearly. A ruthless climber Capricorn methodically documents colleagues' weaknesses while presenting themselves as indispensable. They volunteer for high-visibility projects while subtly highlighting others' shortcomings. They create alliance structures that position them favorably regardless of shifting organizational politics. Most disturbingly, they can abruptly abandon long-term allies who become liabilities, cutting ties with surgical precision. The tragedy lies in what Capricorns sacrifice on this relentless climb. Many realize too late that they've achieved positions that don't actually align with their authentic desires. They've climbed mountains they never truly wanted to scale, driven by Saturn's compulsive push for status and security rather than genuine passion. The ruthless climber often reaches the summit only to discover profound emptiness, all meaningful connections abandoned along the way. This shadow aspect manifests in subtle behavioral patterns: the constant evaluation of social situations for advancement opportunities, the rapid disengagement from conversations with low-value individuals, the meticulous curation of personal brand, the willingness to work inhumane hours to outperform peers. They consistently choose achievement over well-being, status over authenticity, and future security over present joy. What few understand is how this behavior connects to Capricorn's deep-seated fear of deprivation. As the sign that initiates winter, the season of scarcity, Capricorns carry an ancestral memory of hardship. Their ruthless climbing isn't merely ambition, it's a desperate attempt to escape the gravitational pull of insufficiency that haunts their unconscious mind. Every achievement, every status symbol, every rung on the ladder serves as insulation against this primal fear. The most insidious manifestation occurs when Capricorns begin applying this utility calculus to themselves. They'll ruthlessly excise parts of their own personality, interests, or authentic expression that don't serve their climb. Artistic Capricorns abandon creative pursuits for lucrative careers. Compassionate Capricorns suppress empathic responses that might interfere with tough decisions. Philosophical Capricorns conceal unconventional beliefs that could undermine their professional image. This self-mutilation in service of advancement creates the fragmented inner landscape many Capricorns struggle with in midlife. Their climb isn't without codes, however. Most Capricorns operate within clear ethical boundaries. They aren't typically rule breakers or outright saboteurs. Their ruthlessness expresses through legitimate channels: outworking competitors, strategic networking, careful resource allocation. This veneer of propriety makes their climb appear admirable rather than disturbing, earning praise for the very behaviors that disconnect them from authentic relationships. The healing path for ruthless climbers involves reconnecting with intrinsic values beyond achievement. When Capricorns integrate their mountain goat ambition with their fishtail intuition, they can pursue success that genuinely reflects their deeper purpose rather than reflexively climbing any ladder placed before them. The question becomes not just how high can I climb, but which mountain truly calls to my soul. For those with Capricorns in their lives, understanding this shadow aspect offers crucial insight. Their utilitarian approach to relationships isn't personal rejection, but a protective mechanism born from profound insecurity. The most transformative gift for a ruthless climber Capricorn is unconditional presence, being valued for their essence rather than their function or achievement. As we witness the ruthless climber in action, we must also recognize the extraordinary discipline, focus, and determination that this shadow aspect makes possible. The same traits that drive their relentless ascent can, when consciously directed, create leaders capable of guiding others through the most challenging terrain. When Capricorns climb, not just for themselves, but to establish paths that benefit many, their ambition becomes not just ruthless, but revolutionary. Topic 3. The emotional vault. The third reason, the emotional vault. Beneath the composed exterior of every Capricorn lies an emotional architecture unlike any other sign in the zodiac, a fortress-like containment system where feelings aren't merely suppressed, but systematically cataloged, sealed away, and preserved with perfect fidelity. This isn't simple stoicism or emotional restraint. This is an elaborate psychological mechanism that transforms emotions into artifacts, separated from the self yet perfectly preserved. While water signs swim in their feelings and fire signs express them explosively, Capricorns build vaults, impenetrable chambers where emotions are stored but rarely accessed. Each hurt, betrayal, disappointment, and joy is carefully archived with a historian's precision. Nothing is truly forgotten. Everything is preserved. Yet unlike a Scorpio who might eventually process these emotions through transformation, or a Cancer who might release them through expression, Capricorns simply lock them away behind walls of duty, responsibility, and practicality. The psychological origins of this emotional architecture trace back to early childhood. Many Capricorns encounter situations where their vulnerability was exploited or dismissed. A crying child met with stern disapproval, an emotional outburst punished with isolation, a tender moment ridiculed by peers. Each experience reinforces a fundamental lesson. Feelings are dangerous when exposed. The protective response becomes automatic. Seal the emotion away, continue functioning, never reveal the wound. What makes this truly disturbing is how completely Capricorns can disconnect from their emotional reality while maintaining perfect awareness of others' emotional states. They become like anthropologists studying foreign cultures, capable of recognizing, analyzing, and even manipulating emotions without actually experiencing them directly. This creates the uncanny valley effect that many describe when interacting with Capricorns in emotional situations. They say all the right things, offer appropriate support, yet something essential seems missing. The vault doesn't merely store negative emotions. Even joy, excitement, and love get sealed away. Observe the Capricorn who receives wonderful news, a promotion, a pregnancy announcement, a love confession. There's often a visible moment where the emotion begins to surface genuinely, followed by an almost imperceptible shift as it's captured and contained. The response that follows is appropriate but measured, as if performed rather than felt. The true emotional experience has already been archived for private processing later, if at all. This emotional containment creates a dangerous imbalance. Capricorns appear completely controlled while silently drowning in unprocessed feelings. The vault can only hold so much before structural integrity becomes compromised. This explains the mysterious health issues many Capricorns develop midlife: autoimmune conditions, chronic pain, digestive disorders, physical manifestations of emotional pressure seeking release through bodily systems when psychological channels remain sealed. Perhaps most disturbing is how the vault transforms Capricorn's relationship to others' emotions. They begin collecting emotional debts with meticulous precision. Every time someone disappoints them, breaks a promise, or fails to acknowledge their efforts, the incident is recorded in an invisible ledger. Unlike water signs who might express hurt immediately, or fire signs who might confront the issue, Capricorns simply note the debt for future reference. These accumulated records inform their decisions about trust, investment, and loyalty years after the original incidents are forgotten by everyone else. Meanwhile, they maintain their own emotional debts with ruthless integrity. A Capricorn who feels they've wronged someone will repay that debt precisely, often in ways the other person doesn't recognize as connected to the original wound. They operate according to emotional accounting principles that remain entirely internal, invisible to others, yet structurally perfect in their own minds. The vault creates a profound asymmetry in relationships. Capricorns know exactly where they stand with others, while others rarely know where they truly stand with Capricorns. They might believe They're in an intimate relationship while the Capricorn maintains emotional guardrails invisible to the partner. They might think a transgression was forgiven when it was merely filed away. They might believe they know the Capricorn deeply when they've only been permitted access to the outer chambers of the vault. This emotional containment system manifests in subtle physical tells: the slight tightening around the eyes when feelings threaten to surface, the measured breathing that regulates emotional intensity, the sudden shift to pragmatic topics when conversations become too intimate, the withdrawal into work when personal life becomes emotionally charged. Most revealing is the Capricorn's characteristic dark humor, often the only sanctioned channel for emotional truth to emerge, disguised as jokes about their own detachment. The true tragedy of the emotional vault is the loneliness it creates. Many Capricorns reach midlife having never been truly known by another person. They've shared their thoughts, their plans, their resources, their time, but never the raw, unfiltered contents of their emotional world. The vault that protected them from childhood vulnerability becomes a prison separating them from genuine connection. They find themselves surrounded by people who love the version of them that's permitted public access, while the most essential parts remain forever quarantined. What few understand is that Capricorns aren't emotionally shallow. They're emotionally deep, but fundamentally private. The same person who appears cold in group settings might write heart-rending poetry never shared with another living soul. The executive known for tough decisions might privately weep over the impact of necessary layoffs. The parent who rarely offers verbal affirmation might maintain elaborate files of their children's accomplishments, reviewed in solitary pride. The emotional depth exists. It simply remains contained in chambers few are ever invited to enter. The healing journey for a Capricorn with this shadow aspect involves creating selective, intentional openings in the vault, not demolishing it entirely, as the protective structure serves important purposes, but installing doors that can be consciously opened with trusted others. This requires tremendous courage, as the vault was originally constructed precisely because emotional vulnerability felt catastrophically dangerous. For those with Capricorns in their lives, understanding this shadow aspect offers critical insight. Their emotional containment isn't rejection or shallowness, but a sophisticated protection system with deep historical roots. The greatest gift for a Vault Keeper Capricorn isn't demanding access to their emotions, but creating such consistent safety that they might consider, on their own terms, the possibility of sharing what has always remained sealed away. When Capricorns begin the journey of selective emotional release, they discover resources they never knew they possessed. The same discipline that maintained the vault can be redirected toward emotional integration. The same structural thinking that separated feelings from consciousness can architect new pathways for authentic expression. The same patience that allowed them to function while carrying enormous emotional weight can sustain them through the vulnerable process of learning to feel in real time. The most profound transformation occurs when Capricorns recognize that emotional containment was an adaptive childhood strategy that no longer serves their adult needs. The world that once punished their vulnerability is not the world they inhabit now. The people who exploited their openness are not the partners they've chosen as adults. The rules that governed emotional expression in their family of origin need not dictate their current relationships. There exists a mature emotional integration uniquely available to Capricorns who have begun this journey, a balanced capacity to feel deeply while maintaining appropriate boundaries, to process emotions thoroughly without being overwhelmed by them, to express authentically without becoming reactive. When the Vault Keeper becomes the Vault Architect, consciously designing chambers that both protect and connect, Capricorn's emotional landscape transforms from prison to palace. The journey from sealed vault to selective sharing rarely happens quickly or dramatically. True to Capricorn's nature, it unfolds methodically over time as they test small emotional disclosures, evaluate responses, and gradually expand their capacity for vulnerability. Those privileged enough to witness this evolution see something remarkable: the emergence of emotional wisdom that could only develop through the unique Capricorn path of containment, reflection, and carefully chosen release. For Capricorns themselves, the message is clear. The vault was never meant to be a permanent solution, but a temporary safeguard until you could build more sophisticated emotional infrastructure. The same Saturn energy that helped you contain feelings can now help you structure healthy emotional expression. The work isn't abandoning your fundamental nature, but evolving it, maintaining the strength of the mountain goat while embracing the emotional fluidity of the fishtail. Topic 4. The patient vengeance seeker and the cold perfectionist. The fourth reason, the patient vengeance seeker. In the intricate tapestry of Capricorn's shadow aspects, perhaps none is more chilling than their capacity for calculated retribution executed across vast stretches of time. While Scorpio's vengeance burns with passionate intensity and Aries retaliates with immediate fury, Capricorn's revenge is served at absolute zero, methodical, precise, and often years in the making. This isn't emotional retaliation. It's strategic correction of what they perceive as cosmic imbalance. The patient vengeance seeker operates on a timeline few other signs can comprehend. A wronged Capricorn might appear to have completely moved on from a betrayal or slight. They'll maintain cordial relations, perhaps even offer support or resources to the person who harmed them. To outside observers, the incident seems forgotten, forgiven, relegated to history. Nothing could be further from truth. The perceived wrong has been meticulously documented in Capricorn's internal ledger, waiting for the day when accounts will be settled with perfect symmetry. What makes this shadow aspect truly unsettling is the emotional detachment with which it operates. This isn't hot-blooded revenge, but a calculated rebalancing of scales. Capricorns view vengeance as restoration of natural order, not emotional satisfaction. Their Saturn-ruled nature gives them an almost supernatural patience. They can wait 5, 10, even 20 years, if necessary, for the perfect moment when justice will be most poetically delivered, and the connection to their own involvement most thoroughly obscured. Consider the Capricorn employee whose idea was stolen by a manager. Rather than confronting the situation immediately, they might spend years becoming indispensable to the company, systematically documenting every achievement while subtly positioning themselves for advancement. When they eventually surpass their former manager, they don't gloat or directly punish. Instead, they methodically dismantle the person's influence, reputation, and opportunities through perfectly legitimate channels. Budget reallocations, performance reviews, strategic reorganizations. The target rarely connects their downfall to the idea they stole years before. This vengeance pattern operates in personal relationships with equal precision. A betrayed Capricorn partner doesn't create dramatic confrontations or exit relationships with emotional fireworks. Instead, they might maintain the relationship while systematically withdrawing the elements that made it meaningful: emotional intimacy, future planning, genuine presence. They become the hollow version of the partner they once were, a simulacrum performing expected functions, while the authentic connection is silently terminated. The betrayer is left with the shell of what they damaged, often unaware that the withdrawal was deliberate retribution rather than natural relationship evolution. What makes Capricorn's vengeance truly masterful is how rarely it appears vindictive to outside observers. They cloak retribution in pragmatism, framing destructive actions as necessary business decisions, logical consequences, or practical choices. Nothing personal, just business, becomes the perfect cover for deeply personal settling of scores. Their vengeance often benefits systems or organizations, while incidentally devastating targets, allowing Capricorns to maintain their reputation for integrity even while executing precisely calibrated punishment. The psychological mechanism driving this pattern connects to Saturn's fundamental nature as timekeeper of the zodiac. Capricorns intuitively understand that time itself is the most powerful force in human experience. Why resort to crude, immediate retaliation when patience will present perfect opportunity? This temporal perspective gives Capricorns an almost supernatural confidence in delayed justice. They know something their targets don't, that time inevitably reveals vulnerabilities, shifts power dynamics, and presents openings invisible in the immediate aftermath of wrongdoing. Observing a patient vengeance seeker in action requires attention to subtle patterns. The Capricorn, who maintains detailed records of interactions that seem insignificant to others, the careful noting of weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and leverage points, the strategic positioning in systems where they can eventually exercise control, the perfect memory for slights others have long forgotten. Most revealing is the barely perceptible satisfaction they display when long-planned consequences finally manifest, a momentary gleam quickly concealed behind expressions of appropriate concern. The most disturbing aspect isn't the vengeance itself, but the compartmentalization that enables it. The same Capricorn methodically dismantling a colleague's career might simultaneously be a loving parent, reliable friend, and ethical community member in other contexts. They don't see contradiction in this selective application of retribution. In their structured moral universe, specific balances must be restored in specific relationships while maintaining perfect integrity in all others. For Capricorns themselves, the vengeance pattern creates a complex karmic trap. The energy invested in maintaining grievances and executing delayed justice diverts vital resources from authentic growth. Many realize it's too late that their meticulously planned retribution consumed decades of creative potential that might have been directed toward genuine achievement. Saturn teaches through limitation, and nothing limits potential more thoroughly than commitment to settling old scores. The fifth reason, the cold perfectionist, intertwined with Capricorn's capacity for patient vengeance, is another shadow aspect equally devastating in its impact, the cold perfectionist. While perfectionism appears in many zodiac signs, Capricorn's manifestation carries unique qualities that transform an admirable pursuit of excellence into something far more destructive, a clinical detached assessment system that renders binary judgments of perfect or worthless, with no middle ground for human complexity. Unlike the passionate perfectionism of Virgo, constantly working to improve systems, or Leo's performance-oriented standards designed to garner admiration, Capricorn's perfectionism operates like an ancient, implacable judge. It applies standards so exacting that nothing mortal could possibly meet them consistently, then delivers verdicts with emotional detachment that makes them feel cosmically ordained rather than personally imposed. The cold perfectionist establishes impossible standards first for themselves, creating internal assessment systems so demanding that perpetual failure becomes inevitable. They might discard years of work over a single flaw, abandon creative projects moments before completion when they fail to match the platonic ideal in their minds, or dismiss significant achievements because they fell short of absolute perfection. What others would celebrate as extraordinary success, Capricorns often register as barely adequate performance. What makes this perfectionism truly dark is how it extends beyond self-judgment to assessment of others. Capricorns unconsciously subject those in their sphere, colleagues, friends, family members, romantic partners, to the same impossible standards. They don't deliver criticism with emotional heat or explicit disappointment. Instead, they register failure through subtle withdrawal of respect, slight changes in tone, or redirection of resources and attention. This response feels more devastating than direct criticism, precisely because it seemed so objectively deserved, so naturally aligned with cosmic law rather than personal preference. The psychological mechanism driving this pattern connects to Capricorn's primal relationship with scarcity and survival. As the sign that initiates winter, the season requiring perfect preparation to survive, Capricorns carry an ancestral understanding that mistakes can be fatal. Their perfectionism isn't aesthetic preference, but existential necessity. In their psychological landscape, imperfection equals vulnerability equals potential destruction. The emotional detachment isn't cruelty, but psychic numbing against the terror this equation produces. Observe the behavioral manifestations. The Capricorn, who can't acknowledge achievements because they're already focused on the next standard to meet, the reflexive identification of flaws in otherwise exceptional work, the inability to receive praise without immediately countering with self-criticism, the visceral discomfort with imperfection that others would consider insignificant. Most revealing is their response to failure, not emotional devastation, but immediate strategic recalibration, as if the failure simply revealed a calculation error rather than a human limitation. The tragedy lies in what this perfectionism costs Capricorns and those in their orbit. Creative spontaneity becomes impossible when every action is subject to impossible standards. Genuine connection withers when authentic humanness, with all its glorious imperfection, becomes unacceptable. Joy diminishes when nothing is ever quite good enough to warrant celebration. The cold perfectionist creates beautiful, ordered, achievement-filled lives devoid of the messy vitality that makes existence meaningful. For those in relationship with Capricorn perfectionists, the experience often produces profound self-doubt and perpetual striving for approval that never quite arrives. Children of Capricorn parents may develop perfectionism so deeply internalized they never recognize its external origin. Partners may find themselves constantly performing rather than authentically being. Friends may withdraw rather than risk falling short of unspoken standards. What few understand is that Capricorn's impossible standards aren't arbitrary but defensive, elaborate protection against primal fears of inadequacy and failure. Behind the judge's bench sits a frightened child, convinced that perfect performance is the only path to safety and love. The cold assessment system that seems so cruel actually represents desperate attempt to create order in a world experienced as fundamentally threatening and unpredictable. The healing journey for cold perfectionists involves reconceptualizing excellence itself, shifting from binary, perfect, worthless judgments to appreciation of the beauty in imperfection, the wisdom in failure, the value in process rather than just outcome. This transformation doesn't abandon high standards but humanizes them, creating space for growth rather than just judgment. When Capricorns begin integrating this shadow aspect, extraordinary creativity often emerges. The same exacting attention previously used to identify flaws becomes redirected toward appreciation of nuance. The discipline once applied to impossible perfection gets channeled into sustainable excellence. The clear-eyed assessment that seemed cold becomes tempered with compassionate understanding of human limitation. For those with Capricorns in their lives, understanding this shadow aspect offers crucial perspective. Their seemingly harsh judgments aren't personal rejection, but projection of their own internal demands. The greatest gift for a cold perfectionist isn't lowering standards but expanding the definition of value to include process, effort, intention, and the beautiful imperfection inherent in genuine human endeavor. Topic 5. The Ancestral Shadow Bearer, the Sixth Reason. The Ancestral Shadow Bearer. In the deepest layers of Capricorn's psyche lies a shadow aspect that transcends personal experience and connects to collective memory, the Ancestral Shadow Bearer. This final dark face reveals Capricorn's unique relationship with time, lineage, and karmic patterns that other signs simply don't experience with the same intensity. While all signs carry ancestral influences, Capricorns become living vessels for family shadows, generational trauma, and ancient wisdom that pulses through their bloodlines. Ruled by Saturn, the timekeeper of the Zodiac, Capricorns exist simultaneously in past, present, and future. This temporal fluidity allows them to access ancestral memories and karmic patterns that remain locked away from other signs. What appears as Capricorn's natural old soul quality, their strange maturity even in childhood, their innate understanding of hierarchy and structure, their instinctive comprehension of consequences, often stems from this unconscious inheritance of ancestral experience. The shadow-bearer aspect manifests as an uncanny magnetism toward family patterns, particularly the unresolved traumas, limiting beliefs, and unfinished business of previous generations. A Capricorn with no conscious knowledge of their grandparents' financial ruin during economic depression might develop inexplicable anxiety around money and resources. Another might recreate specific relationship dynamics that echo ancestral traumas they've never been told about. Most disturbing is how Capricorns often physically embody ancestral patterns, developing health conditions that mirror those of long-dead relatives or unconsciously adopting mannerisms, speech patterns, and life choices that perfectly echo ancestors they never met. What makes this truly dark is how Capricorns become unwitting vehicles for ancestral karma seeking resolution. They find themselves driven by compulsions they don't understand, bound to patterns they consciously reject, and weighed by emotional baggage that doesn't seem connected to their personal history. The goat climbing the mountain isn't just pursuing personal ambition, but responding to ancestral imperative, proving family worth, breaking generational curses, fulfilling dreams abandoned by those who came before. This shadow aspect explains why many Capricorns feel ancient beyond their years from earliest childhood. They aren't simply one individual, but a convergence point for multiple ancestral timelines seeking expression through a single life. Observed closely, Capricorns often display personality fragments that seem to belong to different eras, speaking with wisdom beyond their personal experience or demonstrating skills they've never formally learned, but that run deep in family lineage. The ancestral shadow bearer carries an intuitive understanding of historical patterns that gives them uncanny foresight about societal movements. They recognize cycles others miss, sensing how present circumstances echo historical moments they shouldn't logically know about. This creates Capricorn's characteristic conservatism, not political alignment, but profound awareness that what appears new and unprecedented to others often represents recurring patterns they've witnessed through ancestral memory. Observe the behavioral manifestations, the inexplicable knowledge of skills never formally taught, the immediate recognition of places never previously visited, the mysterious affinity for historical periods or cultural traditions with no obvious personal connection, the dreams populated by unknown faces later discovered in family photographs, the physical gestures or expressions identical to ancestors they've never seen. Most revealing is how Capricorns often find themselves compulsively driven toward resolving situations that mirror unhealed family wounds, becoming mediators in conflicts that echo ancestral divisions, achieving success in fields where ancestors experienced devastating failure, or healing ailments that plagued family lines for generations. This shadow aspect creates a profound burden. Capricorns often sense they're living not just for themselves, but for an entire lineage looking through their eyes, experiencing through their body, seeking resolution through their choices. This explains the crushing responsibility many Capricorns feel from childhood, the sense that their failures would disappoint not just parents, but generations stretching backward through time, watching and weighing every decision against ancestral expectations. The most disturbing manifestation occurs when Capricorns become possessed by ancestral shadows during moments of crisis or transition. The responsible, integrated adult might suddenly display behavioral patterns clearly belonging to wounded ancestors. The grandfather's alcoholism emerging during stress, the great-grandmother's self-destructive martyrdom appearing in relationships, the distant ancestor's ruthlessness surfacing in career decisions. These aren't merely learned behaviors, but ancestral consciousness temporarily occupying the vessel of Capricorn's psyche. What makes this pattern genuinely dark is how it constrains Capricorn's authentic development. Many spend decades fulfilling ancestral mandates before realizing these imperatives aren't aligned with their soul's purpose. The ambitious corporate executive discovers at 40 that their driving ambition belonged to a grandfather who died penniless. The perfectionist parent realizes their impossible standards echo an emotionally abusive grandmother. The workaholic recognizes their compulsive productivity as ancestral response to historical poverty rather than personal choice. Yet within this shadow lies extraordinary power when consciously integrated. Capricorns who recognize their role as ancestral shadow bearers can transform from unconscious vessels to conscious channels, deliberately working with ancestral wisdom while releasing the trauma. They become bridges between worlds, capable of accessing historical knowledge, traditional skills, and collective wisdom while maintaining their individual sovereignty. This shadow aspect explains Capricorn's mysterious affinity for ancient traditions, historical knowledge, and forgotten wisdom. They're drawn to archaeological sites, historical documents, genealogical research, and traditional practices with an intensity that exceeds mere interest. Many report inexplicable emotional responses to historical artifacts, ancient buildings, or family heirlooms, objects that seem to recognize them as much as they recognize the objects. The ancestral connection manifests in Capricorn's approach to death itself. Unlike signs that fear mortality or resist its reality, Capricorns often demonstrate unusual comfort with death as mere transition point in ongoing lineage. They maintain communication with deceased family members not through mystical practices, but through pragmatic continuity, preserving traditions, maintaining family properties, fulfilling promises made generations earlier. Many report sensing ancestral presences during significant life transitions, not as supernatural visitations, but as natural continuation of family connection transcending physical death. For Capricorns navigating this shadow aspect, the healing journey involves separating ancestral imperative from personal purpose. This doesn't mean rejecting lineage, but consciously choosing which ancestral patterns to preserve and which to transform. The most powerful integration occurs when Capricorns recognize themselves as both recipients of ancestral wisdom and creators of legacy for future generations, positioned at crucial juncture where past and future meet in present choice. This shadow aspect explains why traditional astrological texts associate Capricorn with time itself. They experience temporality differently than other signs, sensing past and future as accessible dimensions rather than abstract concepts. Their characteristic patience stems from this expanded temporal perspective, understanding that processes requiring decades represent mere moments in ancestral timescale. For those with Capricorns in their lives, understanding this shadow aspect reveals why these individuals sometimes seem to live according to imperatives invisible to others. Their seemingly inexplicable choices often reflect ancestral patterns seeking resolution rather than personal preference or contemporary influence. The most supportive approach involves acknowledging both the burden and power of their timekeeper role, respecting their connection to lineage while encouraging authentic choice within that framework. When Capricorns begin conscious work with ancestral shadows, remarkable transformation becomes possible, not just for themselves, but for entire family systems. They become temporal bridges capable of healing historical wounds, releasing intergenerational trauma, and redirecting family energy toward more life-affirming patterns. Their natural authority within family structures takes on sacred dimension, not merely organizational leadership, but spiritual continuity connecting past wisdom to future potential. The ultimate integration of this shadow aspect transforms Capricorn from unconscious bearer of ancestral burdens into conscious steward of lineage wisdom, able to honor historical roots while cultivating new growth, to preserve valuable traditions while releasing patterns that no longer serve, to remember ancestral struggles while creating more liberated future for generations to come. This integrated Capricorn embodies Saturn's highest teaching, that proper relationship with time and structure creates not limitation, but the foundation for authentic freedom. Topic 6. Embracing the shadows, finding the light. We've journeyed through the darkest corridors of Capricorn's psyche, exploring shadow aspects that few astrologers dare to discuss openly. These hidden dimensions reveal why this zodiac sign remains perpetually misunderstood. Their complexity extends far beyond the simplified, ambitious workaholic archetype presented in mainstream astrology. The silent manipulator showed us Capricorn's masterful ability to orchestrate outcomes while maintaining plausible deniability. Unlike dramatic power players, they create systems that naturally channel toward their desired results, leaving no fingerprints as they shape reality according to their vision. Their manipulation is so deeply integrated with legitimate pragmatism that even they might believe in their own innocence, while fundamentally altering others' choices. The ruthless climber revealed the existential compulsion driving Capricorn's relentless ascent. We witnessed how they unconsciously assign value based on utility, compartmentalizing relationships and sacrificing authentic connections on the altar of advancement. Their climb isn't merely ambition, but desperate attempt to escape the gravitational pull of scarcity that haunts their unconscious mind. The emotional vault exposed Capricorn's elaborate containment system, where feelings aren't merely suppressed but catalogued and preserved with perfect fidelity. We discovered how this creates profound asymmetry in relationships. Capricorns meticulously tracking emotional debts while revealing little of their own inner landscape. This pattern explains the mysterious loneliness many Capricorns experience despite being surrounded by people who love the version of them permitted public access. The patient vengeance seeker demonstrated Capricorn's capacity for calculated retribution executed across vast stretches of time. We observed how they can wait years for the perfect moment when justice will be most poetically delivered, cloaking retribution in pragmatism while maintaining their reputation for integrity. Their vengeance operates on a timeline few other signs can comprehend. The co-perfectionist showed how Capricorn transforms pursuit of excellence into binary judgment systems that render verdicts of perfect or worthless, with no middle ground for human complexity. We recognized how these impossible standards emerge from primal survival fears rather than arbitrary preference, creating ordered, achievement-filled lives sometimes devoid of the messy vitality that makes existence meaningful. The ancestral shadow bearer revealed Capricorn's unique relationship with lineage and karmic patterns, explaining why many feel ancient beyond their years. We discovered how they become living vessels for family shadows and generational wisdom, simultaneously existing in past, present, and future through Saturn's temporal influence. Understanding these shadow aspects isn't about condemnation, but illumination. When Capricorns recognize these patterns within themselves, unconscious compulsion transforms into conscious choice. Their strategic thinking can be channeled into ethical leadership rather than manipulation. Their ambition can create systems that elevate many rather than sacrificing relationships for personal gain. Their emotional containment can evolve into healthy boundaries rather than isolation. For those with Capricorns in their lives, this knowledge provides crucial perspective. The behaviors that sometimes seem cold, calculating, or detached emerge from complex psychological architecture with deep historical roots. Their shadows don't diminish their capacity for loyalty, wisdom, and steadfast support. They simply complete the picture of what makes these remarkable individuals so powerfully effective and profoundly misunderstood. If you found value in these insights, now is the time to become an active part of our astrological community. Subscribe to Secret of the Zodiac for continued exploration of the Zodiac's hidden dimensions. Each sign contains shadow aspects rarely discussed in mainstream astrology, and we're committed to bringing this deeper knowledge to serious students of the stars. Take a moment right now to hit the like button. This simple action helps our content reach others seeking genuine astrological wisdom beyond superficial sun sign descriptions. Browse our channel for in-depth explorations of other signs' shadow aspects, compatibility insights, and ancient wisdom applied to modern challenges. We particularly value your perspectives and experiences. Leave a comment sharing how Capricorn energy has manifested in your life. Have you encountered these shadow aspects in yourself or others? What strategies have helped you navigate Capricorn's darker traits? Your wisdom creates a valuable resource for fellow seekers, and we read every comment. The production of this specialized astrological content requires significant research and development. If you found genuine value in these revelations, please consider supporting our work through the Super Thanks feature. This form of financial contribution directly funds our ability to produce daily content of this caliber, covering production costs and allowing us to delve even deeper into astrological mysteries in future videos. Your support makes a tangible difference in our ability to continue bringing you these insights. Remember that awareness itself initiates transformation. By bringing Capricorn's shadows into consciousness, we don't strengthen them, we integrate them. In understanding the darkness, we find our way to more authentic light. The ancient axiom remains true: know thyself, and the cosmos reveals its secrets. Until our next exploration of the Zodiac's hidden dimensions, May the stars illuminate your path with wisdom, both ancient and eternally new.